Descent into Darkness, Season 2, A Call of Cthulhu campaign. Okay, gentlemen, welcome back to Deathwatch's Call of Cthulhu campaign, Season 2, Descent into Darkness. I think this is our 5th session. And we just came back from a little bit of a break, so if I'm remembering everybody's plot lines, we have Johann has kind of been in search of the more occult side of things, specifically the eye symbol and the nature of the ritualistic murder, and he has kind of gone astray from his original goal, and he's taking a retirement trip up to Moosehead Lake in Maine, but he's gotten out of that fugue state. And Monroe was on a similar path, looking into the occult side of things. Mostly been spending your time in the library at the Hermetic Order of the Silver Twilight. Whitmire, you looked into the trying to find the journal from Mr. Dooley, and you've stumbled across a lot of corruption, and you've kind of maybe made some powerful people angry, and you just finished up a ruse to make these powerful people think that you are no longer in Boston and you're currently laying low at the moment. And finally, Dr. Andrews has been the Noir detective of the story, rough and tumble interviews with lying people, nearly getting roughed up by some street toughs. And you're also have become aware that some powerful people are wanting to keep this investigation proceeding it exactly as it would if you guys weren't here to make any adjustments to it. Does that all sound pretty right to you guys?
Yep.
Yeah.
The only thing I might add is that the good Dr. Andrews and I had recently talked with James Clark.
You were going to talk
We're
with
going
James
to go
Clark,
talk to him.
That's right. We were going to go talk to James Clark, but we were also given the name Dr. Lewis Powell at the sanitarium that might give us a way in to talk to the nephew.
Yeah, Dr. Call was at Monroe's museum, and he told us about Dr. Carroll at the sanitarium, or Powell.
Right, a psychoanalyst that works there.
Yeah.
As a possible contact for you guys to use. Okay, so with that established, I think we will begin in the dream of Dr. Johann Muller, if it can, in fact, be called a dream. You've become more and more certain that what you are experiencing is more like a repressed memory of actual events as they occurred at Widner Library the day before. And they're just events that would fit into only a few missing hours. Before we jump into that, though, you have a thought while you're amidst the stacks, the strange man speaking to you, sort of intoning those adjective-laden descriptions of everything. And the thought was that once, when you were on the Dark Continent, you saw a cheetah chase down and catch a gazelle. It happened in a matter of seconds. It was just a fury of motion, but then over quickly. And one thing you remember is being struck at how some prey instinct seemed to take over the gazelle, and it was almost like it participated in its own death once caught. It was seemingly docile, with the only few sounds of protest serving only to excite the cheetah, as if it were some sort of reciprocal relationship at the end. Now, in the Widner Library, you feel a kind of malaise settle over you as this man is intoning all these adjective-laden descriptions. While you do feel that your pulse is heightened, your nervous system seems to have just given up.
And acceptance.
Yeah. In any case, the man finishes his intoning, and he goes over to a section of the bookshelf and picks out a sizable leather tome. And if you want to roll a spot hidden for me.
That son of
You got the 9 luck to push it?
Oh, no, I'm not spending any luck unless I have to.
Push it.
Well, he just tucks
close.
it under his arm for the time being, but he produces from his jacket with his other hand that strange figurine of the toad-like creature that you picked up, and you have this sort of clash in your mind of living the event for the first time, but also remembering it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
deja vu.
Yeah. But anyhow, I believe we had left off in your dream where he had asked what, you were looking for, and you had mentioned you were researching that symbol and that you were looking into ritualistic killings for sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
But he turns back to that toad-like creature and he adjusts it just so, and you hear him intone in Latin, somnum manducari procreare, as he places it there. What is your Latin rating?
21. Very rusty.
Go ahead and roll it for me. Well, somnum is directly translated as sleep. The other two words you're not too sure on. But he says, because he asks you about the eye symbol, he says, this symbol, could you describe it further?
It is an eye like would like the eye of, who is it? Is it like Ra? Would that be a apt descriptor? I forget what it actually looks like. Surrounded by 3 Ys, right? Where's our handout?
Well, we can assume that your character remembers it better than us coming off an extended break.
Yeah.
So he says that eye symbol you seek is buried in history. Those false worshippers at the Church of Contemplation never understood whose sign they blasphemed. Avoid those unhallowed grounds. Leave Boston, Mr. Muller, and await the grave.
Which grave would I await?
Oh, don't be obtuse. I think one of your age knows which grave they're awaiting. Your time is almost at an end. Why not just give up now?
I'm afraid that I don't want to.
Well,
I can't.
It is a perilous path that you walk. Are you sure that you have the fortitude for it? But before you can respond, the librarian, the unnamed librarian you've interacted with a few times, comes up with a questioning look on his face, although he is oddly and slowly and methodically eating a sheet of paper. And what he says is, Karpoth Arum Garwixi Waxi Slamoosh Coinsel? And you see like this sort of slow, horrified expression come over his face as he's sort of reacting in confusion to his nonsense question as well.
This is par for course for librarians, so Johann is not at all confused by this.
Well, in any case, he
just normal librarian speak.
Right. A look of embarrassment sort of washes over this librarian's face as if to say, no, that's not quite right. Let me try again. And he says, Carmonical Waglump Mongols the, and then when he says the, as though he seized on an actual English word, he's like, the Frisian Frizu Frigum. And then he harumphs in frustration.
You're interrupting us, young man. And I'll kind of almost dreamily kind of gesture him away.
Yeah, and the strange individual, the one that you now know where your knowledge of future events clashes with this memory that this man belongs to something he's called the consortium. He says, my dear Peter, you are speaking nonsense, and you've eaten your homework. Please leave us to our conversation. The librarian, with this dim, horrified expression, takes another chomp out of the page and walks back down between the bookshelves with his head low. I can see you are aged, Mr. Muller, but are you wise?
I do not know quite how to answer that. Age does not bring wisdom, as many would like to think, but neither does education. And currently I have plenty of both.
What have you spent your life doing?
Searching.
Do others count you as wise?
Perhaps only fools would count me as wise. Yes.
We shall see. Perhaps I should test your fortitude to allow you to continue. Would you like that, Mr. Muller?
Tests are always welcome. They strengthen the mental and the physical.
He picks another book off the shelf, and you can see on it, it says Liber Ivanus.
Johann will kind of reach his hand up.
This is a fake. Someone placed this here. I don't know who, but it's very frustrating and it has me very vexed. And he slides it back in. And he says, as he pulls off another book, but this one is not. This is a book very important to the consortium, not like your books, who are limited to front to back reading. They paint a more complete picture. Why don't you take a look? And he sets it on the table in front of you. It's unremarkable, and there's no title on the binding or the cover.
Yeah, I'll dreamily kind of walk over and I'll, is it an old tome or is it the pure newish?
It looks more new. It's not worn or scuffed or anything like that.
Okay. So I wouldn't handle it with nearly as gentle of care as I would an older book, but still with some level of care that Johann would show all tomes and books. He'll open it with one hand and begin to flip through the pages.
Okay. So first, let's start with a power roll.
Okay. Now, these were going so good last time, Travis. Here we go. Oh, son of a...
Let's see how he does.
Wonder if I should push it. Can you push power rolls?
Yeah, but I don't believe you can push an
Oh,
opposed
is it
roll.
contested?
But
Okay.
I might consider it against an NPC, just up the stakes. So here we go.
If you fail, does your mind break?
I guess you could probably say something like staging up success.
Yeah, so if you want to push it.
No. I'll risk whatever the hell he's doing. He already put the whammy on me once.
Okay, so you're quite familiar with books, and usually when you open a book, you can select a phrase and begin reading, and you sort of control the pace at which you take in information. You can jump around and get little bits and pieces. But with this book, as soon as you open, it's more like a force is being pressed into you. You're getting information from the beginning, from the middle, from the end, all at once, streams into your consciousness, almost in a visual sense. And what you see is a pool of water or sludge in a barren terrain, which could be somewhere on Earth or another planet altogether. And strange beings gather around the pool. They are gray-colored, barrel-shaped beings, maybe 6 to 8 feet in length, and some 3.5 feet in diameter at the midsection, tapering to 1 foot at either end. The central mass displays 5 vertical ridges, between which are strange growths from which wing-like membranes can unfold from interior cavities. Curious orifices can be discerned at the tip of each of the serrated wings. Spaced equidistantly around the central equator of the body mass are 5 flexible arms, each reaching 3 feet long, and ending in a conglomeration of small tentacles or tendrils. When not required, each arm may retract and coil itself around the body mass. The apex of the body mass tapers to a bulbous neck from which a 5-pointed starfish-like head rises in horizontal aspect. The head surface is covered in a 3-inch wiry cilium, and each of the 5 stalks ends in a spherical orb containing an eye. Atop the head, at the central point, is an aperture not unlike a mouth. Poking out beneath the star-shaped head are 5 reddish tubes ending in sac-like swellings that can open to reveal tooth-like projections. Below the central body mass are 5 flexible legs, each ending in a paddle or flipper-like appendage. Overall, despite seemingly changeable color orientation, the skin appears leathery and tough. And although you can read nothing of the body language from their forms, they appear to cast their appendages towards the gray and roiling sky, from which appears from the mist a great shape like an inverted pyramid made of the blackest of stone or metal, but tipped by a mirrored steel or steel-like cap. So it's like it silently comes from this low-hanging cloud cover, almost to where the tip is touching the surface of this pool.
Yeah.
But with great concussive thuds, 4 stones about half the size of a man are fired from the pyramid ship in a cross pattern around the pool, burying themselves so deep that only 2 feet of the stone is visible above the ground. And then from the tip of the pyramid, a long telescoping rod begins to reach towards the surface of the pool, almost in like slow motion, and it's guided by the appendages of one of these strange creatures. The rod touches, then retracts, and the black pyramid ship retreats into the gray sky, disappearing without sound. And then the strange beings wander away from the pool in different directions. But that's not what's odd about this vision. What's odd is the sense of time that you're getting. That took place in a matter of seconds. But then you're watching this pool amidst this barren landscape for minutes, hours, days, years, ages, eons. The passage of time. Geological time frames were not meant to be witnessed through your subjective sense. It's better, you're a student of history, so it's better to think as you do that it happened all at once. Really, the only time you spread it out into sequences of events is when you're looking at dates, but most often we just think of it being done. But no, in this vision, the ages grind the terrain to even finer dust, or freeze it, or submerge it in water, or blast it with fire from the sky, water again, only to dry again, and on and on and on, until one day, algae and other early plant life appears. On and on through the roll of years with just great passages of time where nothing at all appears to happen, that it becomes difficult to hold the sense of who you are in your head. Finally, this pool, now a river, is visited by strange half-aquatic mutants who lap at its banks before returning to the tall reeds from which they came. More time passes and you begin to wonder what manner of inert consciousness you are. Like a memory of infancy, you recall a vague image of a life embodied, but it could just as easily be a dream. And you wake up screaming in the bed and breakfast you had rented in Salisbury, New Hampshire, and deduct 5 sanity
screaming?
From your sanity. And you're temporarily
Am I
insane.
screaming, what was it from the jaunt? Was it longer than you think?
Longer than you think, Dad. Yep.
What is that? 20.
Okay, so yeah, that's enough to give you a temporary bout of madness. And the cool thing about a temporary bout of madness when you're away from other player characters is the scene just fades to black, and we will find out what happens to you when we come back around to you.
All right.
All right, so let's hop over to Whitmire. So you had done this complicated ruse to throw off any trails, and what was your move after that?
So afterwards, my plan was to try and get in contact with Monroe, Wallace, and Mueller and give them whatever relevant information that I had. Also, to embed myself in whatever they were doing to continue to evade any pursuers.
Okay. Well, if it works for Monroe and Wallace, what we can have is just happy circumstance. You guys can all meet up at the Hermetic Order of the Silver Twilight.
My thought process behind this is the people that are looking for me specifically aren't going to be looking wherever these, sorry sacks are going to be hanging out.
And with me potentially heading out of town, it might be good to have him come with me.
Yeah, I know that you wanted me to steal something or acquire something from a library or a school or something. So
Yeah, I would never ask you to steal anything.
yeah, just, I happen to find things all the time. And
Yeah.
I'm sure that I'll find whatever it is you want me to look for. Just laying in the street waiting to be picked up.
Okay, so we'll say with a somewhat hunted expression on your face, you were by the Hermetic Order of the Silver Twilight, and you were determining whether or not you should go inside. You know, Monroe at least had mentioned coming back here to do some more study in their library when last you parted ways with him. So we'll say you're kind of lurking by one of the hedges, and you see Monroe and Andrews and another man I'm not sure you met, although he looks familiar because you saw him at the dinner, walking up to the Romanesque 3-story building that is the Hermetic Order of the Silver Twilight. What do you want to do?
Pop out of the bushes, dust myself off, and I'll go and I'll hold the door open for him. Because I'm not going to be, like... I'm not going to, like, try and hide the fact that I was in the bushes either. Because I'll just, like, pop out, brush myself off, and then go open the door and follow him in. Just like everything was natural.
Well, it might seem quite natural to them, but I'll give a moment for Andrews and Monroe to react your sudden appearance.
Ah, my good sir, Mr. Whitmire, it is a pleasure to see you. And see you taking your training so well, so seriously in your discreet endeavors.
Yeah, I was looking for you, so I figured this was probably the best place to catch you. I knew you were going to be wanting to see that library again.
Of course. And it's always a pleasure to have you join us.
I'll nod to Mr. Andrews as well, or Dr. Andrews. Say, Doctor?
I'll return the nod. Good to see you again, Mr. Whitmire. What were you doing in the bushes?
Oh, this and that. I have to make sure there's, no way to just sneak in.
Oh, checking the security, huh?
Yeah. Something that, what was his name? Not Rupert Merriweather. What was the other guy that invited us here?
Oh, the police, the Detective Nichols?
Yeah. Got to make sure that, everything's on the up and up for that. Protect his investigation.
And a good man you are for double-checking the security. Our safety is ever at stake in these matters, and I, for one, applaud your endeavors and your intuitiveness in the matter. By any chance, did you happen to have also come across any information or artifacts as you were doing your part of the investigation that may have contributed to your sudden change in direction for security purposes?
No, I just met up with some old friends. I'll kind of drift off in that wording.
Hey, Travis.
So,
I'm not. Yeah. I don't remember very well. Do I have reason to believe that Whitmire is the sort of person that he is? Like, did we establish that in the last adventure, that he's sometimes on the other side of the law?
Well, I believe so. I mean, you did have a character switch because your previous one died, but your initial interaction, I suppose, with Whitmire, or an early one, is when he was trying to sneak the fat worm out of the tent,
right? And
you critical role spotted him.
Yeah,
doing so. I mean,
yeah.
So you have an idea of him at least being some sort of thief.
Okay.
I think we also used him to help bring back the artifacts through some less than legal channels.
Yeah.
Well, if you're being honest, like, Dr. Andrews has reason to believe that everyone he encountered in that journey is a criminal.
Yeah, I suppose that's true.
So,
Chris, I had a question for you. Did you want to act as Dr. Call in these scenes in which he appears with these guys?
Oh, he's the guy that's wife died and he's not at all in mourning?
Right.
Yeah, I can do it, I guess.
Okay. Let me share him with you.
Yeah, so we're here to see we're here to see James Clark, who is a fellow member of the Order who's a criminal defensive. I mean, that's who I want to talk to.
And kind of playing up on Edward Call's, revelation that the nephew may have been, kind of hung out to dry and framed for the murder, I'll say to Mr. Whitmire. And, good Mr. Edward Call here was the one that brought up the fact that the young Dooley boy may have been incorrectly imprisoned for the murder of Mr. Dooley. And so we were going to talk to this lawyer in order to see what possible defense we may be able to present for the boy.
Okay, let me give you some role playing, just a few notes for old Dr. Call there. Yes.
All right.
I think that's a fine idea.
So he's gregarious, maybe inappropriately so. He is inwardly torn up about his wife, but he puts on a good show. He's an Anglophile. That's the reason for his odd affectations and speech every now and then.
Okay.
He picked this up because he trained at King's College, and he just kind of thinks that they do things better over there.
That's the term for people who take up a British affectation. Is that what that means?
Or they just have like a love for all things British.
Oh, okay.
And there's a few other notes on his description and stuff in the character sheet. Were you able to access that?
I'm not. I don't think I'm seeing it.
There are some of those British girls that are incredibly sexy.
Oh, Dr. Edward Call. There we go. NPCs. All right. So what was it I was supposed to be looking at?
Oh, he just has like some descriptions and stuff, but the two things are just being gregarious inappropriately. So, for example, when Brandon had mentioned that his wife and daughter were dead, he said, well, you know what I'm talking about, the relief to be unburdened by your family. He tries to put like a positive spin on everything and often fails.
Okay. I, in fact, did not know what he was talking about.
Yeah, weren't yours murdered or something?
They died of the Spanish flu, but
okay,
it's still a sore point for him, obviously.
Would like a boastful guy or full of himself along with that?
Not quite. He was trying to ingratiate himself.
Be more humble
with these guys, using whatever tact he thought would get him there. But I won't add any more tips on it. I'm totally okay with whatever you roll into the character. We'll just make it part of his character from here on out. So you have free reign, pretty much.
All right. If there's a line that you think he won't cross, tell me though, or that he would, something that he definitely would do, or that you want him to do. I mean, he's an NPC, so I think you should have control over.
Right. Yeah.
Him more than PC.
Yeah, I can just tell you his motivation is to alleviate his what he describes as boredom, but is actually really his grief by finding something to do.
Depression.
Right.
All right. So after who was it? Was it Monroe that or Andrews that credited me with discovering the fact that the nephew may not, in fact, be the murderer?
Well, both.
Oh, I've been trying to,
Yeah, both of
We've been trying to play it up that it was your idea and that you're going to be helping us with this investigation so that it takes a little bit of the suspicion and pressure off of us.
Yeah, I'll kind of bow my head and, no. Any man worth any sort of intelligence, a fine, educated man, such as the gentleman I'm surrounded with currently, could have easily pinpointed that. No problem.
Well, no matter what, we appreciate your counsel in these matters, and especially some of the considerations that you've already helped us with for reaching out to the good James Clark and giving us a contact, Dr. Lewis Powell at the sanitarium. You've already helped us an incredible amount on our endeavors to come to the conclusion in this matter.
He'll exhale, kind of relieved at when Monroe says that, and then kind of correct himself and make himself proper again.
What school did Dr. Andrews go to?
Oh, University of Boston or I don't know what it's called. University of
I thought
Massachusetts.
you were Harvard alumni.
Am I?
Can't remember.
That's what I had thought too. I do want to make sure that he knows. I don't know if Monroe had told you, but I got a hold of this journal, and there was this crest in here. It, maybe you would recognize it, seeing as how you're college educated.
Is this where you like drew the really horrible?
Yeah.
Like,
Which we
like,
messed up on
it,
that because my education was actually a lot higher than what we did.
So, what I need to roll to recognize that crest, Mr. Keeper?
I was just double checking. For some reason, I did have it in my head that you attended Harvard. So
Well, I think you're right.
I don't see it at a scan, but if you did, then you'll know it immediately. It's the Harvard crest. Are you showing him the pour drawing, or are you describing it to him?
I'm just describing it to him at this point.
Although the one that Whitmire's describing to you includes a pig's head in it, I believe, which is not part of the standard Harvard crest, but every other part is correct. You could roll. We'll need a hard education.
Okay, let me check something. All right, hard education. I will roll that very soon. As I find it. Uh-huh. Oh,
Nice.
extreme success.
Nice.
Okay, so with that extreme success, sometimes the finals clubs do modifications to the Harvard crest to the note that they belong to those clubs, like on their school jackets and whatnot. That specific one belongs to a final club called Porcellian.
Porcellian?
Yeah, and the finals clubs are I suppose what we refer to as like Skull and Bones. And
Yeah. And this is a drawing you made of the crest?
This was a description that was in Mr. Dooley's journal about some kids who were hanging around the Corbett house, which is a supposedly haunted property across from his cigar shop.
Okay.
As I found this journal, by the way, and if you want, and you can go through it yourself too.
Yes, I'd love to.
the drawing is actually now a sand loss document, so I don't know what you guys did with that.
Can you spell that for me, Travis?
Yeah, one moment.
Just put pork choppy in.
And that was a what did you call it? A finals group?
Yeah, a finals club. But, like they're usually fraternal organizations that undergraduates join to make social connections. Very much the college version of the Hermetic Order of Silver Twilight.
Okay.
Yeah, he also this was a guy that also forked his fingers at Mr. Dooley in a queer fashion, and had said that the evil eye, or the eye of evil, is upon him, as when he tried to stop them from going into the Corbett house by threatening to call the police.
Right.
As oddly enough, the kids were also back there when the kids were also at an old church grounds, believe about a month later, after some queer going on at the Corbett house, where some workers killed each other and an investigator broke their arm.
Okay.
Yeah, Dr. Call, as you are the one who has arranged this meeting with James Clark, a criminal defense attorney, he's most often found in the bar of the Hermetic Order of the Silver Twilight, and you reached out to him and he agreed to meet you all there. So just giving you that piece of information.
Okay. Was there agreed upon time?
You had said you were heading there, right away, as is your style, and he said he'd meet you there.
Not to interrupt this, whatever it is, but that we have that meeting with what was it again, Travis?
James
lawyer?
Clark,
Yeah, James Clark,
a lawyer. Yeah.
With Mr. Clark, and I wouldn't want to keep him waiting. I'll look kind of like nervous while delivering this. I don't want to get booted from this little gathering.
Right you are, Doctor. Show us the way.
Yes, or Dr. Andrews, follow me. And I'll lead the way in.
Okay, let me change your map over here. One moment. Okay. Should be loading up for you guys here shortly.
Yeah, I got it.
So yeah, there you all are, although I'll have to add Whitmire.
And me,
Well, yeah.
because I don't see anything.
Let me give you
Just look at the
control
map.
of this token.
I am. But seeing as this is Call of Cthulhu, I should look with my special eyes.
I think
Where
it was
are the
just because
icons above
your token
Whitmire?
didn't have
He's-
vision. Can you see anything after I hit save?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I was figuring it was ownership or whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd given you the ownership of the token, but one of the things to keep the performance hit down is to give as few tokens vision as possible. So yeah, as you guys head into the lounge towards the bar, you see a couple of men, presumably since they're here, part of the Hermetic Order of Silver Twilight, just discussing quietly at one of the tables. And I think you guys can see James Clark in the lounge there.
Yeah, so I'll lead the way.
So why is he in a storeroom?
There's a bar
It says
in there.
bar.
Oh, okay.
Now this
Storeroom's off to the...
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, storeroom's back behind.
Whitmire's taking up the bartender position.
Yeah. What are you drinking?
Yeah, so
Does
Mr. Clark is almost as movie star good looks. There he is.
Thank you for that.
And you've only seen him. You met him briefly when you guys first arrived at the Hermetic Order of Silver Twilight, and he's smoking again as he was then, just that sort of perpetual cigarette hanging between his fingers there, and he's nursing some whiskey, and he looks up at Dr. Call's arrival there, and Dr. Call, if you give me an appearance or credit rating roll, we'll see how Mr. Clark actually feels about you.
All right. Appearance or credit?
Yes.
Ooh, it's going to be credit. That's like my first success in what,
Yeah.
half a dozen rolls.
What was it? I don't see it.
Just a standard.
Oh.
Oh, it's because it auto whispers to the GM on.
Congratulations.
I'll turn that off there.
So you
Maybe we should keep
find
it on.
James Clark a fascinating character because he has many interesting stories about the people he's represented and, stories of crimes and all sorts of fascinating details. And for his part, he actually likes you as well because you're a rapt listener. And as a doctor, your expertise diverges quite a bit from his. And, so he finds your stuff fascinating. And you guys get along quite well. And he seems to be a pretty good fellow, one of the better ones in the order that you've met so far. A lot of people give you the cold shoulder. You're not sure why, although Monroe and Dr. Andrews know why. But anyhow, there you are.
Do we have a term for our newly raised brothers in this fraternal order, or what?
Well, their official title is neophyte.
Okay.
I hadn't thought of anything specifically, but if something jumps to your mind, you're welcome to call them that.
No, I'm fine with that. I was just going to, what do you call, what am I, and is Clark my equal?
Yeah, so you're both initiates.
Okay, so would I greet him as, anything special, or would I be able to use just...
Clark.
Yeah, like that, or would I use Mr.?
Either or, but
Like
we could go with initiate Clark. You both
Okay, so
like
yeah,
the
I'll-
trappings of the place, so...
Okay, so yeah. Initiate Clark, allow me to once again introduce our newly raised neophyte brothers, Whitmire, Monroe, and of course Dr. Andrews. They want to discuss something with you that they've been investigating. A most curious case, I'd say. Really a good bit of investment worthy of your time. I'd say. Anyway, I'll let them get to talking, and I'll have something to drink.
So I'll immediately walk up and hold out my hand in the way that, we do for the secret handshake of the order.
There isn't
Does it
one,
look like
so he's just
ninjutsu?
doing a bunch of hand jokes.
No,
Yeah.
I remember there was something like using the like
there is.
two middle fingers to like tap on their wrist or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that the fact that we're all in this place is
Still just trying to follow decorum.
Yeah.
I am gonna make drinks for anybody who asks, but I don't know what the hell I'm doing because I don't drink. So this is gonna be awesome.
I'll order something. Travis, what would Doctor? What is that call?
Everybody
call
in the 1920s only drank whiskey, like
gin.
Whiskey neat.
Yeah, you like a martini because you picked it up when you were attending King's College. It was popular in England at the time.
What do I roll for bartending?
You don't actually have to bartend unless you want to.
I do. Because I don't have anything to really input into whatever conversation they're about to have. I don't even know why they're going to talk to him. I just showed up waiting for him.
Well, we'll just you can just roll a D100, and unless it's something where the mix is in the name, you have a 5% chance to get it right. So if somebody orders a gin and tonic, you can probably get that one right.
I'll ask for a gin Ricky.
Martini, Mr. Whitmire.
I don't think this is. So it's like some bourbon. And I've seen people that order that, they shake it, but like I don't, like I know that there's some ice in there, so I'll throw some ice, some like bourbon and vodka in there, and then shake it up and
Yeah.
I picture the martini like a drink my sister made for my dad back when she was like a kid, and it was just Jack Daniels and a bunch of milk.
yeah,
and you just slide that across the bar.
There you go.
So you have a caramel colored cloudy drink there, Dr. Edward Call.
Well, I'll be paying attention to Mr. Clark and them prepare, because I'm very intent on trying to fit in, so I'm trying to gather up all information I can.
Yeah.
And so I won't see it, but I'll reach for it and I'll take a gulp and then kind of
What was that?
set it down.
That's how I learned to make them when we were in Peru. Now you've been, right?
Have I? No. Yes.
Okay, so after Whitmire mixes some inexpertly mixed drinks for everybody, did you get even one correct?
No, I got a 42 and a 40. I only heard 2 drink orders.
I was just doing a gin and tonic, so that shouldn't require.
Yeah, you managed to get that one, but it's real.
So I got that one right.
It's extraordinarily dirty.
And there was gin Ricky. I don't know what the Ricky part is, but I definitely got the gin into Dr. Andrews.
Yeah, it's just lime.
So unless someone says something, it's going to be like gin and club soda.
Yeah. Oh, that's in there too. Yeah, and then lime juice.
Okay. Yeah, so if he sees me trying to push it forward without that, and he's like, no, there's lime, then I'll, okay.
Yeah.
Put some of that in there.
Pretty easy drink.
And Clark just ordered, straight up scotch, just, like a quarter of the glass, but for some reason you shook it in the mixer all by itself.
Without rinsing it out. All the other stuff he just shook in there.
So it's a cloudy scotch. Got a little bit of everybody else's odd mixtures.
Well,
but yeah,
Dr. Call didn't think that Whitmire was a criminal. He does now.
Hey, this'll get you messed up though. That's the point of this drinking business, ain't it?
I suppose so.
Yeah. So
go ahead.
Yeah, I'll introduce myself again to Mr. Clark, and I'll try to take the lead on the conversation from Monroe. I'll try to break in there.
Good luck. I want to see critical successes.
Make a fighting brawl roll. Now, Clark stands and he has a very good posture and very good presentation. Somebody used to appearing in court trying to sway jurors. and he's pleased to meet you all. And but I don't understand the nature of the meeting. Call didn't really give any details, but I'm happy to have a drink with my fraternal brothers. So it is nice to meet you all.
I'll tell him 100% of everything that's happened in perfect detail and accuracy.
Well,
but no,
that's quite a story.
I'll just sort of say the basic the basic outline of what we're doing, and then how I believe that this poor kid is being set up, and so that's how I'll bring it to saying, now, as a defense attorney, Mr. Clark, do you find anything odd about the supposed detail that he signed a confession, and then the fact that a guilty plea was not entered? Like, if he had signed a confession, shouldn't that have entered a guilty plea? I mean, that's one. Well, one detail I'm
when
having
it comes
trouble with.
to arraignment, you still have to stand before the judge and enter in your plea, and it's unlikely that even his public defender would have used his own confession as the plea. And if he's unwilling to speak, then Dr. Call is absolutely right that the judge would have entered a not guilty plea on his behalf. You see, a confession is not a plea, it's just a piece of evidence that will be used against him.
Right. And so that brings me to the next point, and I thank you for clearing that up for me. I'm ignorant to the inner workings of the court system, but what do we do in situations where a defendant is not shown to be capable of even communicating, and then supposedly writes out their own confession?
Well, retracting confessions is not without precedent. One thing you have to understand about police work is their job is to, charge somebody with a crime, arrest them, put them in jail. Their interest is not always in the defendant's best interest. And unfortunately, in Boston, there have been many cases that I can think of false confessions given under coercion. And in some of those cases, or no few of those cases, they have actually stuck, even though it seemed to me that there was successful argument by the defense that confession was given under coercion. You see, unfortunately, class and money plays into these things. And for this young man who only has a public defender working for him, my hopes would not be high of a successful outcome in his case. So the first thing I would recommend is that you get him good counsel. And as to how you're going to get somebody who is apparently nonverbal to do that, I can't really say without meeting him personally or anything like that.
Capital idea, my good friend, Mr. Clark. It's, even though we've just met, I can see that you're an honorable man, and perhaps you would be willing to go and meet the young man. Of course, we would be looking at legal fees and compensating you justly. But, if you meeting the young man and providing some legal counsel would probably be a capital idea.
Well, as to that, I would be happy to represent this young man, given that all retainer fees and legal fees are paid for. But I will not go out on a lark unless I am sure that he will accept my counsel. So without that assurance, then I'm not going to get the paperwork started. Pardon, I'm not trying to be cold to this man's plight, but I do have a busy day ahead of me, and a week ahead of me for that matter.
Well, we do plan to go out there and visit him and see if we can break through to him. Could you give us some time to see if we can obtain some communication from him?
Yeah, that would be great. In fact, I could have one of my associates put together some forms. If you can get him to sign those forms to accept me as his counsel, then we could skip that part altogether.
Wonderful. And I had another question for someone as expert in the legal field as you. I have obtained, through just conversation, confession from the physician who signed the autopsy report that he knowingly falsified it, left out some details. What would you recommend that I do with that information?
Well, First, don't tell me anything else about it. I have to understand the source of the information or any evidence that comes in if I take his case. You see, are you guys private investigators working on the matter?
Technically.
I suppose you could call us as such. My interests were more around the actual circumstances of the murder, although the good humanitarians Edward Call and Dr. Andrews here would also like to see that a young man who doesn't have the wherewithal to fully understand the situation is not unjustly punished for a crime he did not commit.
I see. Well, it would be better for me to be acting in official capacity before I take any other evidence into examination. I think probably if I am to be his counsel, my first step will be to file a discovery on any evidence the prosecution has, and then from there I would be interested in what you guys have gathered. But we have to be careful in the manner in which you gather it. In some cases with private detectives, I've found that the way in which they've received their evidence has invalidated it.
I see.
But so this in that specific instance, you got an admission by this coroner that he lied in his autopsy. That correct?
That in fact he was paid to do so.
Well, based off of just that, we have a he said, you said situation. We don't actually have any physical evidence.
That's true enough.
Not that that's without its merit. What was that, James?
Well, I was thinking about producing that check and note from the other police detective, but since he doesn't want any additional evidence, I'll keep that tucked away for now.
Okay. But I'll have an associate drop those forms off. Where best, or where is it best that he does that?
Here, I think, would be best, since this is where we...
Although I will offer the services of my museum as a relay point as well, so you can send messages there, and I will be checking in periodically and conveying any messages found to the rest of the group as I meet with them. And I'll, take out my flyer and hand it to him. Always trying to, push my museum.
Okay, yeah, he'll take it and sort of turn it over, look at it, and then he'll set it on the bar counter. Is there anything else? I'll get back to the office and have my associate get to work right away. He should get those forms together within the hour and can deliver them here, I suppose, will be the best.
That would be most appreciative, Mr. Clark, and may I say that your reputation for legal counsel has, not done you justice.
Oh, save the flattery. It's all right. I've really done nothing yet.
No. I truly believe in giving people credit where credit is due. And, even though this has been a brief conversation, your help has been most appreciated.
Don't mention it. And he drains the last of his scotch and sees himself out, which leaves you in the bar to determine what the next move is.
So around what time of day is it now?
So it would be late afternoon. You guys do have an arrangement to have dinner with Detective Wayne Nichols here shortly.
Okay.
Well, gentlemen, what's next? What are we off to now? What investigation are we going to fling ourselves into?
I think what's next is dinner with Detective Nichols, and then try and get in to see Mr. Dooley's nephew.
Yeah, actually,
Well,
Dr. Powell, who Dr. Call told us he knows at the sanitarium, would be the first person to meet there, and then after, perhaps we can try to meet with the boy as well.
My good sirs, may I make a suggestion? Perhaps the good two doctors are more suited to go into the sanitarium, while Mr. Whitmire and myself head up to Miskatonic University to follow up on a lead on the potential occult references to the murder of Dr. Dooley. I have a feeling that Mr. Whitmire would not object to taking a short trip out of the city.
Yeah, I'd like to leave some stuff with you, though, Dr. Andrew, as that would be the journal from Mr. Dooley, along with a envelope that has a letter and a check.
Oh, okay.
It was,
Where did you find these?
I got these from what was that other detective's name? The Detective Nichols' partner.
Yeah, it was
Fallon.
Fallon.
Yeah, Detective Fallon.
Wink.
Yeah, as I believe that the note though, it's initialed FW, which I had taken to believe that it was. I'm trying to find my journal here with it.
What? It was a check for what?
I just shared it with
Services
everybody.
rendered.
Oh, you shared it. Okay.
The handout is called Unmarked Envelope.
Yeah, I believe that this is from Francis Walsh, though, who's a very dangerous individual.
Is he like a public figure in the area, almost like a Capone, or what, Travis?
Yeah, right. He would, in certain circles, he would have notoriety. As far as the layman goes, there would have been a couple front page headlines about exonerations. You know, like
Tax evasion.
yeah, he's gotten out of some criminal charges that people thought were going to stick, but they didn't. Represented by James Clark. No.
Yeah. So, you believe that this is a check from Slick Frank? Sorry, couldn't think of anything.
Yeah.
That
I
is
mean,
who
it
we're
doesn't
talking
really
about, right?
surprise me that he's got, detectives on his payroll. As
I don't know
Now-
why he would. He's merely involved in tax evasion.
Mr. Whitmire, what were the circumstances surrounding your acquisition of this envelope? Did Detective
they just
Nichols give it to you?
Yeah.
Or, I mean, Fallon?
Yeah, I went over and politely asked for the journal, telling him that I had been hired as a private detective and would like to follow it up. He said that it was probably a waste of time, but he gave me that, and inside was more of like a bookmark. That envelope was in there.
Oh,
What do you want me to roll
Would it
for
be
that lie?
Would it be psychology to counter?
Fast talk?
Well, generally we try to do the player versus player type stuff. We'll just role play it. But if you guys do want a roll to determine how you feel about it, we can do that.
I'm just because he's an NPC, so I think it should be determined. Like my character that I'm currently playing is an NPC, so I think his should be determined by role.
Okay. What about you, Andrews and Monroe?
Oh, I know he's lying.
Yeah, he knows. I told him the truth of it, is that I snuck in and stole
Oh,
it.
yeah, that's
as I'm
right.
just hoping he keeps his mouth shut.
Yeah, he knows that my moral quandaries are non-existent when it comes to stealing for our benefits.
Well, yeah, go ahead and roll that fast talk out there, James, and
Can I push that?
you can't. It's not a fumble, so yeah, you can push it. Pretty close though.
All right. Yeah. So I guess the drawback is that they would immediately know without having to roll. Would that work?
An assassin's
Yeah.
bullet rips
Right,
through the
yeah.
window and takes you.
Is that all of our evidence catches on fire?
Yeah, come on, crit success.
You got it.
It's pretty close.
So yeah, he got a regular success. So if, Andrews, if you want to see through that, and same with you, Dr. Call, you just have to beat his regular with a psychology roll.
Okay.
And then isn't one of the properties of fast talk that eventually, as people like really think through it, that they will kind of come to the conclusion that it was not true?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, those misgivings, yeah, that exactly is how it works.
But I figure it's going to take a while for old Edward Call to think through it.
Yeah.
He wants to believe.
Yeah, he's caught up in the excitement. Part of him probably doesn't care.
All right, so since it's late afternoon, you guys have a short time to refresh yourselves before your dinner appointment with Detective Wayne Nichols.
Yes, I'm feeling rather hungry. I can't wait for this dinner. They
Although,
all look around, seeing if he succeeded in slipping into the dinner invitation.
I'll leave that up to you guys.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with him. I mean, he's helping with the investigation, and he's actually been way more useful than then
Welcome to the team, Dr. Call.
Well,
But-
you're kind of replacing one old bald guy with another one.
I'll
So.
I'll spend the intervening time reading through Dooley's journal.
And I was
Okay.
going to head up to the library to see if I could find anything more about the eye. And I'll try and pull Whitmire with me.
I was going to follow you because I want to know what I'm stealing.
Okay. But yeah, the first conversation I'll broach with him is asking him if he needs a safe place to sleep tonight.
As long as
So-
it isn't that museum. I mean,
Well, my
It
home
is.
and my museum are pretty much the same thing. I have a spare bedroom above.
place
I have a
creeps
spare
me
bedroom
out
that
after
will allow
Peru,
you.
man.
Yes. But once you get used to it, then it becomes home. The occult no longer causes fear, but rather fascination.
It's
But
not
of course,
fear of the occult. It's fear of truth. I mean, you know what we saw.
Yes, I know, and I've come to terms with it, and the knowledge that is out there is just a grand journey for me and my mind whenever I truly stop to think about it. What
You
else
know
may
what I
we
did,
not
though.
know or understand? Yes,
How do
yes,
you
and
how do you get away from double crossing a god?
well, for one, I can tell you from personal experience that it is a terrifying thing, but as so much and so far, the God has not come after either one of us, so I believe that we may be safe for now. As to the future, who knows what it holds?
Well, if there's anything that can take my mind off of that, is what do you need from this university?
I was approached by a member of the order to go and speak with a good doctor about the symbol and some of the other occult things that happened around Mr. Dooley's murder, someone that may be able to help us. And he happens to have a tome that could be very useful, not just to us, but to the entire order, that he has stubbornly refused to even let anyone else take a look at.
Okay.
I figure that out of all of the people, if I can't convince him to allow us to do it in as a favor to us, that you might be able to help us acquire it in whatever other means come across your mind.
Yeah. So I could definitely help out. I'll just kick back in one of the chairs that are up there, read like picture books.
Okay, so we will fade on this group on the conversation between Whitmire and Lance Monroe, and then our vision will open up on a large, wide river. Anybody who's familiar with the area would know that it's the Miskatonic River, and it's a particular section of it that flows pretty deep, but it also looks gentle on its surface, and it has some slight sloping banks that go down to the edge of the water. And there we see the bedraggled form of Johann Muller with his feet dangling in the water, but he's mostly up on the bank. And inexplicably, his boots and his socks are missing, and the bottom part of his pants are torn around the hem there. And he wakes. So, Mr. Mueller, you wake, your eyes blinking, to the noon, or maybe even past noon, by the position of the sun in the sky. And it takes a moment, but eventually it comes to you that you are on the banks of the Miskatonic River. And you can see some distance the steeples and the other structures that signal that you are just on the outskirts of Arkham, Massachusetts. Now, as you sort of come to your senses, you feel, that you're clutching something in your hand. Not heavy, you just feel like these strands wrapped around your fingers. And yes, there you are.
I'll set up. I'll adjust my glasses if they're still on my face.
By some miracle, they are, although one of the lenses is chipped.
This was new. I'll look down and open my hands and see what I'm clutching.
You immediately recognize it as hair, like quite a handful of it. And at first it's just odd, but with some rising horror, you see that there is a bit of scalp attached to a cluster of the hair in your hand. And furthermore, as you kind of smack, the morning taste out of your mouth, you feel a strand of hair like stuck in between your teeth.
Oh no. I'll shake the hair from my fingers and I'll start pulling at the strand of hair between my teeth to get that out.
Okay. And there's a bundle. It looks like your coat with something bulky wrapped inside of it.
Oh, all right. Let's go. Hopefully the hair's from my own head, but if not, we probably got a dead hooker's head here.
This was what your wife was trying to warn you about, why she wanted you to stay home.
I think he's thinking of
Charles.
Yeah.
Or Dr. Cole.
Right.
Johann has never been married.
Well, this is what she would have wanted you to stay home for in your old age.
I should have been married. Anyway, yeah, I'll go over to I'll kind of crawl, I guess, over to the bundle and open it up or unwrap it with shaky hands. It's probably cold. Well, it's like, no, it's summer, so we're good there, okay?
Yeah, so if they weren't shaking, they do begin to shake when you unwrap and reveal the object within, which is a, very old, very ancient bound tome that has the Latin De Vermis Mysterious on the cover. And that is where we will end today.
Nice.
Thank you, Travis.
Thanks, Travis.
Yeah. Thanks for playing,
Thank
guys.
you.
Let's
I don't know. I've got to look back through my notes.
I think you're talking about the one that This has been a Death Watch production. Thank you for listening.